Abu Layth. Welcome to another episode of Wandering Middle Eastern Teacher. For the last two episodes, we've been touring the amazing country of Turkey. In today's episode, we will look at the logistics behind the trip. What does it take to get to Turkey, to get around in Turkey, and what does it take to leave successfully after your trip? First thing you need to do is to obtain a Turkish visa. For many nationalities, arriving at the airport is no longer an option for getting a Turkish visa. You have to do it in advance and have to do it through the online Turkish government website. So that website is www.evisa.gov.tr www.evisa.gov.tr. You'll be able to pay by credit card. Actually, you have to pay by credit card. Currently, Americans pay $50 for a 6-month visa and then a $3.75 service charge, processing charge. But if you do a group order, you're getting visas for more than one person. It's just that processing fee one time. You don't have to pay it for each person. So that cost is a little bit higher. The visa in 2019, it was only $20. So just check the Turkish website to see what the price is for your particular country and if it's changed since the last time. So the visas as of June 2021 is good for 6 months, and it's multiple entry, and you can stay up to 90 days at a time. So it's a pretty nice deal. But you may not actually be able to take advantage of the multiple entry unless you're kind of close by in Europe or the Middle East. You will need to download and to print that paper copy of the visa form before you get to the airport. Second step you need to complete is the pre-arrival form for the Turkish government. So within 72 hours of leaving your departure city, you need to go to the website, which is register, .health, .gov.tr, and complete a short form with some basic information: nationality, passport number, date of birth, address, and that's about it, and your arrival date. And then you're good to go. And then, of course, for the vast majority of countries, you will need to have a negative COVID PCR test before arriving in Turkey. The Turkish rules right now, for Americans at least, are that test needs to be from within 72 hours of your departure. Remember, please check the Turkish website, Turkish government website, for exact details on your specific country. When you arrive in Turkey, you will show your visa form. You may or may not have to also show again your proof of a negative COVID test. It just depends on the person at passport control, what they want to do. But pretty simple, easy process if you have all your documents in order. It just depends on how long the line is in front of you. Then once you actually arrive, if you're arriving in Istanbul, it's good to know that both the airports, the new Istanbul airport as well as the older kind of discount airline airport on the Asian side, Sabiha Gökçen, are substantially outside the city. So you will need to figure out a way to get from the airport into the actual city if that's what you're intending to visit. At both places, there are some pretty easy options. One of them is the Hava bus. So it's pretty cheap, around 27 Turkish lira. Just find it. They should be parked pretty close to the arrival gate. And then just depending on where it is that you want to go, to Katakoy on the Asian side, or to try to go to the European side. And then the journey can take anywhere from 30 minutes up to an hour and a half, just depending on the time of day and which side you're going to. If you do want to go for a little bit more of a personal option, taxis are available, but are going to be a lot more expensive than that, in the ballpark of 170 Turkish lira or more, depending again on where exactly you're going and how much traffic and tolls that may be along the way. This rule of thumb, traffic in Istanbul is almost always bad. So make sure you're not in a rush or crunch for time if you're using ground options like buses or taxis. Metros can be busy, but since they're metros, they aren't affected as much by the gridlock of cars everywhere. Once you're in the city, you can buy an Istanbul Cart, which is a little card, either paper or plastic, that you can use wherever you want to go. Metros, buses, ferries, all will deduct from the same card. So you can, in theory, get an anonymous card without entering any personal information for 13 Turkish lira and be able to put money onto it in order to use at various places. In theory, you could do that pretty much anywhere, any kiosk, any bus stop, metro stop, ferry station in the city. But in our experience, we had trouble trying to actually do that, and ended up having to actually get an HES, the Turkish kind of COVID national number, in order to get our card issued. It may be helpful also to know if you visited Turkey in the past, or Istanbul particularly, and have an old cart, Istanbul Card, it won't work anymore. After 2019 and with the new COVID regulations, all of the old ones no longer work. We even tried to use our old one and it allowed us to put money on it, but we tried several times to use it and it would not work anywhere. So keep that in mind. You will need a new one if it's been a few years since you visited Istanbul or tried to buy one. So we had a great manager at the hotel that we stayed at, and he actually registered us and got us the HES number, because I'm not sure I would have figured it out on my own. And thankfully didn't even need to try. You can definitely check for other people's experience if they were able to actually register themselves. But if you are staying at a hotel, why not just ask the manager to set you up with that if that's something that you're interested. Having that number would be really important if you are continuing on from Istanbul to go to somewhere else. Like in Antalya, we could not buy even the single-use tram tickets, metro tickets, without registering them with our HES number. So that's something to keep in mind. In Istanbul, you may be able to get around just on the anonymous one, but if you go somewhere else, it might just be a little bit easier if you do have that number.
So one of the little known secrets, tourist hints and tricks here in Antalya is using the tram. So we did a little bit of research before we came here, but we really didn't find anything written about the trams, but they are amazing. They're new. This line is the orange line. So for 4 Turkish lira, so it's about a little less than 50 cents US, you can get a tram all the way from the airport, wherever you want to go. It has a stop pretty close, about half a mile from Old Town. And there you could transfer to other lines to get all the way down to Antalya Beach. Or like once you're in town, easily get a taxi for much cheaper price than getting it from the airport. It wasn't too bad from the airport. It only cost about 75 Turkish lira, about $10. but 50 cents is pretty nice. So this is the modern line. I think they only completed it 3 or 4 years ago. The process of buying a ticket is pretty easy. You do need to have an HES code number. So that's the Turkish number, official registration with the government to see if you have COVID or not. We really had no idea how to do that, but thankfully at our hotel in Istanbul, the manager was able to set all that up for us because we had no idea. And here in Antalya, they are really strict about that. They will kick you off trams or not allow you on if you do not have. So it's not just you buy the card, then you have to have internet and actually go to a special website for Antalya, actually register it with your passport number and that HES number. So good, helpful hints to know. Makes it a lot easier traveling and so cheap to do.
Finally, before you leave Turkey, there are a couple of things that you'll have to do. And of course, for most countries of the world you'll be going to from Turkey, you will need a PCR test. There are lots of options in Turkey and pretty much everywhere. So in the bigger cities, they have services where a nurse will actually come to your hotel, do the test, and then email you the results the next day. So pretty nice deal. Of course, for an extra fee, it'd be a little more than if you went to a government hospital and did the test there. In Turkey, there are also options at least the 2 airports in Istanbul and the Antalya airport, probably more, but I know definitely those 3 have PCR testing inside the airport, right outside the arrivals gate. So in Istanbul, at the Sabiha Gökçen airport, it's a pretty fast process. We did it there, and in 2 to 3 hours, we had our results. In Antalya, they told us it would take a little bit longer, more like 7 hours. So we actually went to the airport the day before, did the test, and then just picked up the results when we were about to head in for check-in for our flight. And it all worked really smoothly. So the price of that should be 170 Turkish lira for those official COVID testing sites. Obviously, it'll be a little more for that special service where the nurse or the doctor comes to you to administer the test. And that's kind of a wrap of everything you need to know logistics-wise in planning your trip to Turkey. So hopefully this information is helpful for you in knowing how to arrive, how to get around in Turkey, and how to depart well with all of your stories and your new memories of a beautiful country with amazing food. Stay tuned for more episodes in the future. I'm Abu Laith, and this is the Wandering Middle Eastern Teacher. Have a good day.